This is a Melodies Ambience podcast. Hello, my name is Melody, and welcome to Melodies Ambience Sleep. I create lovingly crafted audio designed to help you relax, slow down, and drift off to sleep with a calm mind. Each episode usually features 25 minutes of beautifully ambient sounds and soothing music, plus a story or poem. However, in this special episode, I have something a little different for you. I'm going to read you a true story that's a little curious and spooky, but still very charming and peaceful. Since this episode is a bit different, then let's begin. The Black Cat. I moved into the cottage a full 3 decades ago now. It sits nestled at the edge of a dense forest, sheltered from the wildest weather, its stone walls thick with the history of centuries. It has a deep, quiet air about it, the kind of stillness that suggested the previous occupants had never truly left, merely paused. The first few months were spent in a pleasant fog of unpacking and discovering, finding hidden nooks and old, dusty ledges. I was content with the silence, relieved to be alone and away from the endless chatter of neighbors. My company was the wind and the occasional visiting deer. The feature that dominated the ground floor was the immense fireplace. It was vast, built of rough-hewn stone, big enough to roast an ox. I rarely lit a fire in it. It was simply too large and seemed to possess a coldness all of its own, even in the height of summer. It was always empty, always dark, a black pit in the living room wall. It was during my first autumn that I first saw it. I was having tea one gray afternoon when a shadow detached itself from the gloom outside and settled right on the weathered stone of my doorstep. I thought at first it was a pile of discarded velvet. It was a cat, completely black, indistinguishable from the shadows it had emerged from. Its fur was deep and matte, absorbing all the light. It sat bolt upright, entirely motionless, staring directly at the door with an unnerving, patient intensity. I watched it for a while. It did not scratch, nor did it mew. It simply waited, its presence a heavy, deliberate invitation. The air in the house seemed to thicken, pressing in on me, suggesting that this particular event was not just common, but expected. The compulsion to let it in was instant and overwhelming. It felt less like a choice and more like a necessary completion of a long overdue ritual. I set my tea down, crossed the flagstone floor, and slid the iron bolt back. The cat did not hurry, nor did it saunter. It walked with a smooth, purposeful glide, slipping past my feet without a backward glance or a moment of hesitation. It was clearly not interested in me, the owner, or the home, merely a destination within it. It went directly to the sitting room, passing the kitchen and the pantry without a twitch of interest towards food or water. It stopped abruptly at the empty fireplace, hopped deftly over the cold hearthstones, and settled right next to the fire pit. There in the deep, unlit cavern, it performed its only action. It stared. The cat was not looking at the sooty fireback, nor at the floor, but at the solid stone wall just above the mantel. It stared and stared and stared. Its eyes were great orbs of sickly, pale green, and they did not blink. For 2 full hours, it sat in that cold, dark space, fixated on a point of solid stone where nothing existed but mortar and dust. It was utterly still, like a macabre effigy carved from coal. I tried to tempt it out. I set a saucer of milk and a dish of tinned fish a short distance away. It did not respond, its concentration absolute. The sleepy dread in the house intensified, as if the silence was being actively used for some unknown purpose. I ventured close enough to gently reach out. Its fur was surprisingly cold, not cool like an outdoor creature, but refrigerated, as if it had been stored in an ancient vault. I drew my hand back, a prickle of alarm moving along my arm. Finally, just as the sun dipped behind the western trees, the cat shifted. It stretched its long, lean body, letting out one single, soft sound, a high, delicate mew that seemed to carry the weight of immense age and exhaustion. It hopped down, walked across the hearth, and turned towards the door. It paused only to look back at the wall one last time, a look of profound, defeated recognition in those pale green eyes, before slipping out into the twilight. I did not see it again for 3 years and a fortnight. Then, one grey afternoon, there it was, sitting on the doorstep, still and patiently waiting. The ritual began again, identical in every detail, even down to the weary sigh of its single, departing mew. This strange recurrence has now been ongoing for over 3 decades. The cat does not age, does not change, and never deviates from its silent, cold task. I am simply the temporary keeper of the keys, an observer to this unsettling, enduring pattern. It is always 3 or 4 years between visits. Sometimes I forget about the ritual entirely, only to open the door and find that dark form waiting, its eyes already fixed on the destination within. I'm compelled to halt my plans and submit to my part of this ceremony. I have grown accustomed to it. The sheer regularity has leached the terror from the event, leaving behind only the deep, strange hum of something profoundly inexplicable. It's a gentle haunting, a clockwork mystery wound up long ago. It's been 4 years since the last visit. The empty fireplace is as dark and cold as ever, and sometimes, when the house is especially quiet, I feel a familiar, heavy pressure in the air. I know the cat is nearly ready to return and resume its vigil on the wall. Dear listener, it is certainly a heavy and peculiar tale. But before you let the unsettling nature of my story linger too long, I wanted to offer a small, reassuring message to lift the atmosphere. It's natural for a story of quiet, persistent strangeness to leave you with a shiver. The notion of a ritual conducted by an unchanging, silent entity over 30 years is deeply unsettling. It touches on the ancient, inexplicable rhythms of the world. But I hope you can take a moment to reframe that experience. The story is not one of danger or malevolence. It is one of continuity and dependable company. Think of the cottage not as a place of dread, but as a perfectly stable haven that exists outside the rush of time. I have, for over 3 decades, found peace and security within these very walls. The black cat, mysterious as its motive is, has never brought harm, fire, or flood, only silence, a strange vigil, and a return to the long, comforting interval of quiet. The cat is simply a persistent, predictable thread woven into the fabric of the cottage's life. It's a beautiful thought that even the most peculiar mysteries can become routine, and routine is the bedrock of safety. The cat's visit is, in its own odd way, an anchor. It reminds me that some things are constant, reliable, and utterly dedicated to their own quiet purpose. We are safe, grounded, and secure. Embrace the strange, quiet beauty of the unexplainable, and may you enjoy your own long intervals of peace. With all my love, Melody. Thank you so much for listening. In the next episode, we will return to the usual ambience of calm and peace.